And during her trial, she was also implicated with the murder of her 13-month-old daughter back in 1993, with allegations that she also committed the murder for financial gains. She would, however, deny these allegations.
I broke and made a few terrible, stupid mistakes, which I regret very much. We all make mistakes. I just picked the wrong time to make mine.
That sounds like I picked the wrong time to take him out the game. I should have just picked a better time, which is insane. Also, how is it a mistake? You took out the $150K. $150,000 mistake is crazy.
It was one of the worst child abuse cases they've ever seen. According to investigators, Veronica Saus abused her son Omari and beat him to death 3 years ago.
And the inconsistencies in her statements and the overwhelming physical evidence ultimately led the police to charge Cynthia with murder in relation to Omari's death.
It was recommended Veronica Saus remain jailed on $100,000 cash-only bond.
The state's concurring. We believe $100,000 cash only.
In an attempt to evade justice, Cynthia tried to claim she was incompetent to stand trial. However, the judge ruled otherwise, determining that she was mentally fit to stand trial. Cynthia's husband, Omari's stepfather, was found guilty of tampering with evidence and acting with reckless disregard for human life. He was sentenced to life.
Racks of fucking riches, I ain't really got it. I feel like Aladdin, I ain't never had it. Cause I ain't never had shit, I ain't never had it. Till I found his magic, till I found his magic. Racks of fucking riches, racks of fucking riches, I feel like Aladdin.
Welcome back, we're back with another reaction video. Today we're reacting to Evil Eyes Here video. 118 craziest killer sentences of all time. Well, about to get into some debauchery. Let's get right into it. This video is like 8 hours long, so you know this is gonna be segmented.
These twisted cases will leave you questioning what drives such unthinkable violence. Let's begin.
Day in court for a local family. The woman convicted of murder in a love triangle showed no signs of remorse.
On the 27th of May, 2011, 26-year-old American nursing student Michelle Huang T. Lei was declared missing after her white Honda SUV was found parked with her blood stains inside on Ponderosa Court, about half a mile from Kaiser Permanente Medical Center in Hayward, California, where she schooled and worked. Despite Michelle's family putting up billboards and offering a reward for information about her whereabouts, it wouldn't be until the 17th of September that year that search organizations were able to locate decomposed human remains in a remote canyon area, remains which were identified to be hers. 27-year-old Giselle Duag Esteban, an old high school friend of Michelle's, quickly emerged as the main suspect after security footage showed her.
What type of friend is this? Watch out for the fake friends. You can't tell until it's too late sometimes. Nah. It depends on how long you've been with them niggas. You know a fake motherfucker.
Around the scene of the crime. Her motive behind the possible murder of her old friend would become clearer on closer inspection.
At one point, you and Michelle were close friends, is that right?
I considered her my sister.
And then, what happened?
What type of sisterhood is this?
She made a mistake. Scott made a mistake.
Esteban.
She made a mistake, Scott made. Oh, betrayal. See, yeah, but it's like, okay, cool. You betrayed my trust as a friend, and you slept with my partner. That's more. Well, see, it's different when you know the person, right? So it's kind of on both of them. Like, nigga, you know, but that nigga's in a relationship with you. So the fact that he did that, yeah, all of this over with. I'm good on all of this. Y'all can have each other.
Used to be high school classmates and friends with Michelle, but grew to hate her after she had a brief relationship with Scott Marasigan, Esteban's ex-boyfriend, on and off fling, and father of their 6-year-old daughter. Esteban was unhappy about Marasigan's sustained closeness with Michelle, and often sent him threatening texts to warn him away from her. This behavior ended up in Marasigan filing for a restraining order against her, an action which would lead to her attempt to target her frustrations on Michelle. Evidence revealed that Esteban had not only been looking up different ways to execute a murder, but also been tracking Michelle's routines and learning about her schedule.
I get it. I don't get it, but like, nah, if you got a kid with the nigga, so I can understand you being like, damn, they really did this to me. But going scorch earth on it, like, yo, you went as far as to say, yeah, I'm gonna stalk her and hunt her down. Gang, you losing it. You lost it. What the hell?
Which was how she was able to be successful in her sneak attack attempt on Michelle at her school, and also how she was able to drive off in Michelle's car to the path where her body was dumped. Evidence of Esteban's hair found inside Michelle's car and cell phone records further solidified the undeniability that Esteban was directly responsible for Michelle's murder. And on the 7th of September, 2011, days before Michelle's body was even found, Esteban was arrested and charged with the murder. At Esteban's trial on October 2012, she entered a not guilty plea, but the amount of evidence...
How do you get so committed to? I mean, I guess you have the hope that you don't get caught. I mean, found guilty. But at the end of the day, you didn't want to cover your tracks. You went balls to the wall. Like I see you on camera. That's you in her car. Why do you have access to that? Y'all not friends no more.
Against her was overwhelming, and the jury convicted her of first-degree murder. She was eventually sentenced on the 10th of December 2012 to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. During her sentencing, Esteban showed no emotion in court, remaining as remorseless as she was when the jury returned its guilty verdict at her October trial. She seemed to accept the verdict and even told her attorney to let it go, suggesting that she didn't need to defend her anymore.
The game, why did you even spend the money in the first place? What? I'm guilty. Let's save the time. I did it. You know that we did it.
The judge says he has never seen a hint of remorse from Esteban and hopes someday she will feel this.
We always felt, sitting in trial, that she felt no remorse. Just stared directly at our family with a blank stare. And so it was good that he pointed that out.
Struggling to control her emotions in an address to the judge, Christine Din, a cousin of Michelle, said that although Esteban may have killed Michelle, she could not take her legacy or her light. Esteban had been pregnant around the time of the murder and gave birth to a child while in custody a few months before her hearing.
So she had 2 kids. Damn.
While the child left custody and was handed over to her father, Esteban is set to remain behind bars at least until the year 2037. Giselle Duag Esteban's betrayal and calculated act. While the child left custody and was handed over to her father, Esteban is set to remain behind bars at least until the year 2037.
Gang, that's only 11 years from now. Huh? It's not enough.
Giselle Duag Esteban's betrayal and calculated actions shocked everyone who followed the case. But the next story is just as chilling. Angelina Rodriguez, a woman whose sinister plan revealed a terrifying willingness to destroy lives for personal gain.
I didn't poison my husband.
Another one.
I mean, I am willing to take a lie detector test. I did not poison my husband.
On the 9th of September 2000, police turned up at the residence of Frank and Angelina Rodriguez due to an emergency call. 32-year-old Angelina, who received them, then led them to the couple's bedroom, where Frank's lifeless body lay on the floor in a pool of his blood. What the investigation into the incident revealed was the perpetration of a quite horrific set of actions. Jose Francisco Rodriguez had first met his wife Angelina in February 2000 following his first divorce, and very quickly came to call her his soulmate. By April 2000, they were married, with Angelina's 9-year-old daughter, Autumn, joining the family as part of what was her mother's 4th marriage. His new wife, having 3 previous failed marriages, wasn't enough to set any alarm bells ringing for Frank and his marriage.
How did the marriages end? The divorce, or is she a 3-time widow? Because, brother, I'm doing my background. Gotta do a background check. What the hell?
Which he thought would be the beginning of a beautiful life ahead, would end up leading to his horrific death. Only a few months after getting married, Frank found himself hospitalized, and after he was discharged.
Oh, I think I seen this back in the day. Antifreeze. And this wasn't her first victim. If this is the case I'm thinking of, I could be wrong.
He thought his wife, Angelina, was nursing him back to health. However, it appeared that she had been slowly poisoning him with oleander leaf extract, and then choosing to treat him with Gatorade infused with antifreeze. In between those actions, she had also at least once loosened the natural gas valves in the garage and left to visit a friend. It was obvious that Angelina was repeatedly trying to kill her husband, and he would eventually succumb to the antifreeze-infused Gatorade. The suspected reason behind her actions was that she had taken a sum of $250,000 out of her husband's life insurance only weeks before his death. When the police arrived at the scene of the crime, they were surprised at Angelina's rather calm demeanor after losing her husband. She also contacted the insurance company to inquire about the money only a few minutes after the
Is that a mustache?
coroner's investigators left the residence. However, despite the investigators' suspicions, there was no way to immediately conclude that Angelina had a hand in the murder. It would be Angelina herself who would expose herself during interrogations after she mentioned the potential usage of oleander and antifreeze as poisoning agents to authorities.
And the only person that supplied any information that Frank was poisoned was you. No one else knew that Frank was poisoned. Only you.
Despite trying to blame one of Frank's co-workers, there was no doubt in the investigators' minds that Angelina was the main suspect. And in February 2001, she was arrested while hatching another plan to trap their landlord in a legal case for asbestos poisoning. Angelina was convicted of Frank's murder in October 2003, and during her trial she was also implicated with the murder of her 13-month-old daughter back in 1993, with allegations that she also committed the murder for financial gains. She would, however, deny these allegations.
I broke and made a few terrible, stupid mistakes, which I regret very much. We all make mistakes. I just picked the wrong time to make mine.
That sounds like I picked the wrong time to take him out the game. I should have just picked a better time, which is insane. Also, how is it a mistake? You took out the $150K. $150,000 mistake is crazy.
But murder is not on that list.
Despite denying any wrongdoing in Frank's death, the court sentenced Angelina to death on the 12th of January 2004. The complete absence of any remorse in Angelina's reaction throughout her trial left the court so shocked that the judge stated to the court that he hadn't seen a heart colder than hers for 20 years.
On January 12, 2004, Angelina was convicted and sentenced. She was sentenced to death, not only for the murder of Frank, but also for the calculated way in which she had orchestrated his demise for financial gain.
In November 2010, the California Supreme Court unanimously upheld Angelina's conviction and death sentence. But in November 2024, Angelina, now 56, was resentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, based on Angelina's claim of ineffective assistance from her attorney. She remains behind bars at Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla. Angelina Rodriguez's calculated crime showcased a chilling level of manipulation, but the next case delves into an even darker scheme. Brenda Delgado, a woman who orchestrated a shocking murder fueled by jealousy and revenge.
Passion.
Man, what's up with all that? It's just gonna be back-to-back foreign women. This is the anti-passport bros. Yo, I'm dead, man.
In Dallas, Brenda Delgado, the mastermind in the murder-for-hire plot targeting a Dallas dentist, today convicted of capital murder. Delgado hired a hitman to kill her ex-boyfriend's new love interest, Dr. Kendra Hatcher, in an uptown parking garage.
On the evening of September 2nd, 2015, 35-year-old Kendra Hatcher was shot dead in her parking garage by a suspected robber who fled the scene in a black Cherokee Jeep. The incident was heard by an eyewitness who contacted 911, and the revelations from the case shocked everyone. Hatcher had been dating dermatologist Ricky Paniagua for a few months, and the couple had intentions to get married. However, she was unaware of the obsessive nature of Paniagua's ex, 36-year-old Brenda Delgado, who had been stalking the couple following her own breakup with Ricky a few months earlier. Delgado had been in a nearly 3-year relationship with Paniagua before they split in February 2015. But the pair had remained in platonic contact. However, while Paniagua only had honest intentions, Delgado had been plotting something sinister. An autopsy of Hatcher's murder quickly revealed that her death wasn't a robbery situation gone wrong, but an actual murder attempt. This meant that the list of suspects was quickly narrowed down to one: Brenda Delgado. Delgado had apparently recruited 2 individuals: a 31-year-old local substance dealer named Christopher Love, who was responsible for the shooting, and 23-year-old Crystal Cortez, a single mother who drove the getaway vehicle and bribed them with cash. Delgado had borrowed the getaway vehicle from a friend, Jose Luis Ortiz, who she happened to be with on the evening of Hatcher's murder. After spotting his Jeep on the news, Ortiz contacted...
Hold on, he said that they quickly found out it was her. No, they didn't. No, they did not. Yo, she almost got away. He tried to put a nice bow on it. No. That video was crazy.
Contacted investigators to inform them that he loaned it to Delgado, but that she had been with him on the night of the murder.
I gave her a comment like, hey, have you heard about that dentist that got shot in uptown Dallas? She'd say no. She'd say, well, how funny, because, I mean, it looks very similar to mine. I'm over here lending you my car.
When invited for initial questioning, Delgado told the investigators that she had lent the car to Cortez, subsequently resulting in the arrest of Love and Cortez, who both chose to testify against her.
I got $500.
And who paid you?
Brenda did.
Sensing ominous consequences after the apprehension of her hitman, Delgado fled to her native Mexico in hopes to escape justice. However, after being named in the FBI's top 10 list of most wanted female fugitives, with a $100,000 bounty on her head, she accepted extradition to the United States on the basis that she doesn't face the death penalty. After her extradition, Delgado faced trial for her evil actions on the 7th of June 2019, and it didn't take long for the jurors to convict her on charges of capital murder. She was eventually sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
You can't even look at me.
Delgado refused to lift her eyes, but was forced to listen as Dr. Hatcher's sister confronted her from the witness stand.
During Delgado's trial, Jennifer Escobar, a former friend and roommate of hers, revealed that she had been obsessed with Paniagua and had long since had plans to execute him.
Like, bro, what kind of strokes is he hitting her with? Like, to catch a body, to orchestrate this, you're insane.
Hatcher, and possibly even Paniagua himself.
Let's get rid of Kendra Hatcher.
And why did she want to get rid of Kendra Hatcher?
Because she was envious of her.
During her sentencing, Delgado maintained a cold, emotionless look as she was consigned to her fate behind bars.
The jury unanimously finds the defendant guilty of capital murder as charged in the indictment. Thank you, ma'am.
During the victim impact statements, Hatcher's mother, Bonnie Jameson, told Delgado that she had earned her spot behind the cold steel bars for the rest of her life, adding the damning statement, "If justice could have handed you a death sentence, make no mistake, I would have been there front and center."
Have earned your spot on this earth behind cold steel bars for the rest of your miserable, pathetic life.
Today, Delgado is locked up at the maximum security William P. Hobby Unit for Women in unincorporated Falls County, Texas, where she is expected to remain for the rest of her life. As for her murder accomplices, Love is currently on death row for executing the murder, while Cortez was offered a 35-year sentence in exchange for testifying against the other.
Mind you, Cortez had like a 2-year-old child, a 3-year-old child, and the child was in the car at the time of the malarkey. How about that? The assassination. How about that? Deserve. Feel sorry for the child, but what are you doing? $500? What are you doing?
Two. Now we move on to the chilling case of Megan Fieramusca. What seemed like a shocking betrayal quickly spirals into something far darker.
And back in 2013, Heidi tagged Megan Humphrey in several Facebook posts calling her her bestie. The two were tagged eating together at Longhorn Steakhouse here in Houston.
Megan Fieramusca and Heidi Broussard became close friends at church camp in the late 1990s. Over the years, their bond grew, with Heidi often calling Megan her best friend on social media. What seemed like a friendship built on shared experiences and mutual trust would later unravel into a tragedy beyond comprehension. In 2013, Heidi welcomed her first child, and 6 years later she discovered she was pregnant again. Megan, who was also expecting, was overjoyed for her friend. However, unknown to Heidi, Megan had been secretly creating an elaborate web of lies, including fake baby registries in department stores,
What in a ghost pregnancy? What the Is she already in the head? What the Yeah, my friend's pregnant again. Let me do it too. Well, you could have just got whatever, dog.
Ending to prepare for a child that never existed. Megan's obsession.
Like, why would she not just have a kid? If you really wanted a kid, why would you not just? She could have just adopted a kid. Something. What the is she doing? Then again, you're not mentally stable enough to have a child, clearly, because you get envious of your friend having her second child and say, yeah, I'm going to take her out again. You don't deserve to be here.
And with the idea of motherhood, and specifically Heidi's motherhood, was beginning to spiral.
Whenever anything comes down, because she's going to see my face, and I'm going to bring a picture of Heidi, and I want to show it to her, Heidi and her family. I got 2 pictures.
When Heidi gave birth to her daughter in November 2019, Megan's behavior started to grow more unsettling. She was present during Heidi's labor, holding her friend's hand, but something
What's up with the snakiness in these videos? Yeah, man, I gotta watch some other after this. I'm sorry. I can't keep doing this. What do you mean? You was at the pregnancy and you... Alright, buddy.
Felt off. As Heidi's baby girl entered the world, Megan became sad and left before the baby was born. Megan even intruded on intimate family moments, such as when the baby met her grandfather for the first time.
And I want to show it to her. I want her to see face to face what she did.
But for now, all she can do is remember Heidi for the special daughter she was.
On December 12, 2019, Heidi dropped her oldest child off at school and then vanished with her newborn daughter. A missing persons report was filed and law enforcement began searching for the young mother. Neighbors recalled seeing Heidi leave her apartment with Megan, and despite initial concerns, there was no indication of foul play. Days passed without a trace and the search intensified. But just days before Christmas, the unthinkable happened. On December 20th, Heidi's body was discovered in a duffel bag in the trunk of a car outside a house. Inside the house, police found Megan with Heidi's baby. What was once a missing persons case had tragically turned into something much darker.
As for Fiera Musca, she remains in the Travis County Jail. Her attorneys issued a much longer statement today, which you can read in full at kview.com.
Initially, Megan was charged with kidnapping and evidence tampering. But as investigators delved deeper, the truth came to light. Megan had strangled Heidi with a leash and her own hands. She had murdered her best friend.
And then stole her baby. What in the why? There's no why. Because nothing will make sense to me. Because I'm a logical person, right? What in the is wrong with you? How in the hell did you get there? Like, what's the plan after you know, and then steal her baby? What's the plan after? What the
Then taken her baby in a horrifying attempt to create a life that wasn't hers to claim.
Judge Selena Alvarenga denied the motion to suppress, shutting down Fiera Musca's team's request, meaning evidence and statements obtained can be used moving forward.
The investigation revealed that Megan had deceived everyone around her, even her ex-boyfriend, Christopher Green. He had been living with Megan after their romantic relationship ended, and although Megan claimed to be pregnant, he never saw her belly grow. One day, he came home to find a baby lying on the bed, but Megan was distant about the details of the birth. Christopher grew.
You brought the baby to your crib? She really was trying to be a mother. That bad? No, there's no way. Right? Get a dog, a cat. Matter of fact, you don't need to be around living things. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Grew suspicious and eventually came forward, concerned for the safety of the child.
In court today, Fiera Musca was sentenced as part of a plea deal. The hearing gave Broussard's family an opportunity to address her in a victim impact statement.
After the truth was revealed, the baby was placed into protective custody and eventually returned to Heidi's family, where she belonged. In February 2023, Megan pled guilty to capital murder, accepting a plea deal that spared her from a life sentence, but still resulted in a 55-year sentence. She will be eligible for parole after serving 27 years.
Parole? Nah, B. Like, parole should not have been on the table. Do you hear? What is she like, she's a supervillain.
Heidi's hugs were strong, full of love. They lingered in the atmosphere. I still feel them now.
As the verdict was announced, Megan's face crumpled. Tears streamed down as the reality of what she had done to her best friend, Heidi, finally seemed to sink in. But for Heidi's family, it likely felt far too little, far too late. During the sentencing, Heidi's mother addressed Megan, her grief palpable as she spoke of her daughter. Her voice broke as she said they missed Heidi, who was full of so much love and life. So much.
When I think of her, which is every moment and everything I do, I ask, what would Heidi say or think?
Megan Fiera Musca's horrific crime of murdering her best friend for her baby is truly chilling. But the case of Marjorie Orban is just as diabolical, with its own dark twists and shocking revelations. Marjorie Ann Orban's life in Las Vegas appeared to be one of glitz and glamour. As a showgirl, she danced at some of the most well-known venues in the city, captivating audiences with her beauty and charisma. But behind the scenes, Marjorie was a woman searching for something deeper. She met Jay Orban, a 26-year-old man known for his warm heart and easygoing nature. Jay, drawn to Marjorie, pursued her, and after a few dates, she began to see him as more than just another face in the crowd.
God damn, he got the longest forehead in human history. My bad.
They shared a night of dancing, and although Marjorie liked him, she felt Las Vegas couldn't provide her with everything she was looking for, so she left for Florida, where she had grown up. While in Florida, Marjorie reconnected with Michael J. Peter, a wealthy businessman who owned high-end gentlemen's clubs around the world. Michael had known Marjorie since, so she left for Florida, where she had grown up. While in Florida, Marjorie reconnected with Michael J. Peter.
Oh, she's a bop. Whatever, man. She's already living her life, I guess.
A wealthy businessman who owned high-end gentlemen's clubs around the world. Michael had known Marjorie since she was a teenager, and their relationship quickly grew serious. He made Marjorie a star dancer and choreographer in his clubs, and he even gave her a role in one of his films. Soon, they were engaged. But despite the luxury and success Michael brought her, Marjorie felt the relationship wasn't what she had hoped for. Michael's wandering eye became a source of tension, and eventually,
I own gentlemen's clubs. I made you the star dancer in a gentleman's club. Why do you think I don't have... It's like, are you dumb? You dumb. You trying to change him? Look at him. He been getting money.
Marjorie ended their engagement, returning to Las Vegas once more. 1993, Marjorie and Jay crossed paths again. A decade had passed since they had last seen one another, but the connection they once shared quickly reignited. Jay, now living in Phoenix and building a successful business, kept in touch with Marjorie frequently. Marjorie had always dreamt of having children, and Jay was eager to start a family. He offered to pay for fertility treatments, and soon, Marjorie moved to Phoenix to be with him. The two married in a quiet ceremony at the Little White Wedding Chapel in Las Vegas, and soon after, Marjorie became pregnant with their son. But in the fall of 2004, something tragic unfolded. Jay's mother couldn't reach him, and after a week of unanswered calls, she began to grow
I think I read into this case too.
Concerned. When she spoke to Marjorie, her worry only deepened. Marjorie seemed unmoved, insisting Jay was simply away on a business trip. As more time passed with no word from Jay, his friends pushed Marjorie to report him missing. As detectives investigated Jay's disappearance, they couldn't ignore the stark contrast between Marjorie's behavior and the circumstances. She appeared calm, almost indifferent. In the weeks following his disappearance, Marjorie made large purchases, including a grand piano, and withdrew a significant sum of money from Jay's business account. Her actions raised red flags, but it wasn't until nearly 2 months later that the truth began to emerge. Jay's dismembered body was found in a Rubbermaid container. The discovery, while horrific, led the investigators directly back to Marjorie, especially when surveillance footage showed her purchasing the same container just days before Jay went missing. This evidence, though circumstantial, was enough to point to Marjorie as the one responsible for her husband's death. Marjorie was arrested in December 2004 and charged with murder. As the trial unfolded, the prosecution painted a picture of a woman who, once she achieved her dream of motherhood, no longer had any use for her husband. They argued that Marjorie had grown indifferent to Jay, wanting only his money and willing to do anything to get it. The theory was
They get to a point. Like, yo, Bob ass could have just stayed with the nigga that was cheating. What the hell?
that Marjorie shot Jay in their garage while their son slept inside, then dismembered his body before disposing of it in the Rubbermaid container. While they did not have the murder weapon or the saw, the footage from Lowe's played a crucial role in the prosecution's case. After an 8-month trial, the jury deliberated for only 7 hours before returning a guilty verdict. Marjorie was sentenced to life in prison, and the pain of her actions reverberated far beyond the courtroom. While the outward glamour of Marjorie's life may have captivated those around her, her actions revealed a woman driven by greed, manipulation, and a cold disregard for human life. Jay Orban, a man who had trusted and loved Marjorie, paid the ultimate price for her twisted ambitions. Like Marjorie Orban, Molly Martins also took the life of her husband. But unlike Marjorie, Molly is walking free today, leaving many to question the
What? Bro, that's not a sentence then. Why is she being mentioned? We got time. It's only 20 minutes.
fairness of her case.
Sent me messages requesting that I contact him regarding his children. It was emotional. He had lost his wife and there were 2 babies.
After losing his wife, Mags, in 2006, Jason Corbett was left to care for their 2 young children, Jack and Sarah, while grappling with his own loss. In his search for support, he hired Molly Martins, an American au pair, who quickly grew close to his children. Over time, Jason and Molly became romantically involved, and they married in 2011.
Brother, what the hell is an au pair?
11. However, Molly's behavior began to raise alarms among Jason's family. with suspicions about her past and her relationship with Mags.
Molly Martins met Jason Corbett, a widower in Ireland, in 2008 when she served as the family au pair, taking care of his 2 young children. In 2011, the couple married.
The family noticed troubling inconsistencies in Molly's claims, including that she had known Mags personally, which Jason's family refuted. Despite these concerns, Jason, feeling isolated in his new life in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, seemed determined to make the marriage work, even as tensions grew. He began expressing a desire to return to Ireland with his children, a place where he felt more at home and connected to his cultural roots, especially rugby, a sport that was central to his life. Molly, however, seemed reluctant to move, leading to mounting friction between the couple.
Molly Martins Corbett and her father Tom Martins sat down with us pre-trial to tell us their version of events.
What do you hope to get across today? The truth.
In August 2015, the tension boiled over. Jason was found dead at the hands of Molly and her father, Tom Martins, who claimed they acted in self-defense. Tom stated that he intervened when he saw Jason allegedly choking Molly, using a baseball bat to stop him. Molly, on the other hand, maintained she defended herself by using a paving stone. Their version of events were inconsistent and troubling, particularly when an autopsy revealed that Jason had suffered multiple blows to the head, far beyond what could have been explained by an act of self-defense.
And when he would get mad, what would he do? He would physically and verbally hurt her mom. Did you see him physically hurt her? Once or twice.
As the
And the problem is, you'll never know what happened. Wait, because you know how easy it is for her to convince the kids, or the kids could have seen one time. We don't know if she actually was self-defending, but no, it's 2v1 defense.
investigation unfolded. Jason's sister, Tracy, became a vocal advocate for justice, suspecting that Molly had played a role in Jason's death. The case became even more complex when Jason's children, Jack and Sarah, who had initially provided statements supporting Molly and Tom's story, later recanted, suggesting they had been influenced or coached by Molly.
Molly is apparently caught between a rock and a hard place. Without a legal adoption, she has no shot of custody in the event of a divorce. She says the stakes are too high to simply walk away.
Financial motives surfaced when it was revealed that Molly stood to gain a substantial sum from Jason's life insurance policy. This, combined with the inconsistencies in the accounts provided by Molly and Tom, led investigators to conclude that their claims of self-defense were likely fabricated. The evidence, including expert testimony and forensic findings, painted a clearer picture of the crime, and Molly and Tom were arrested and charged with second-degree murder.
A Superior Court judge set a pretrial date for Tom Martins and Molly Corbett today. The father and daughter had their initial conviction overturned by the state Supreme Court. That happened last year. They've been out on bond.
During the trial, the defense struggled to explain the significant evidence against Molly and her father, Tom. Despite their attempts to claim self-defense, the court was presented with testimony from experts who contradicted their claims. In the end, both Molly and Tom were convicted and sentenced to prison. Yet the case took an unexpected turn in 2020, when North Carolina Appeals Court ordered a retrial. The North Carolina Supreme Court upheld this decision in 2021, leading to the release of Molly and Tom on bail.
With what I assume to be 2 probation officers sitting in the driver's seat and the passenger seat, I also saw her wave from the back seat. I'm not quite sure if she was waving at members of the media, at the building itself, or some of the construction workers that were nearby.
Molly Martins appeared hopeful and all smiles as she walked free from prison. She got into the back of a police car, looking forward to a new life. However, Jason's family didn't think justice was served.
And served more than 3.5 years, but their convictions were later overturned by the state Supreme Court, which ordered a new trial.
The Corbett family, particularly Tracy, was devastated by the turn of events. After serving only a short sentence, Molly and Tom were released in June 2024. This decision sparked outrage as Tracy and others felt that the justice system had failed to hold the Martins accountable for Jason's death. Unlike the others we've discussed.
Yeah, never go to the Carolinas. Just lock it. Just lock it. What the fuck? What are we doing?
Kirsten Lobato's case stands out for a heartbreaking reason. She was wrongfully convicted, a tragic twist that highlights the flaws in the legal system.
Attorneys for Lobato say while $34 million is a large lump sum, no monetary value amounts to the damage she's been put through after spending 16 years behind bars when convicted twice for the murder.
In 2001, the brutal murder of Durand Bailey sent shockwaves through Las Vegas. The 44-year-old Bailey was found dead in a dumpster, his body bearing signs of a violent attack. What followed would be a legal nightmare for one woman, Kirsten Lobato. But did she really kill Bailey? Or was she wrongfully convicted?
When convicted twice for the murder, both in 2002 and 2006. Lobato's lawsuit claims she had been wrongfully targeted by Las Vegas Metro Police after having defended herself against.
Kirsten Lobato was not immediately suspected of involvement in Bailey's murder. It wasn't until more than 10 days later that authorities began questioning her. During the police interrogation, Kirsten did make a statement that would prove pivotal. She acknowledged that she had once stabbed a man in the groin during an altercation. The police took this as a potential confession to Bailey's murder, but Kirsten later explained that she was simply describing a separate incident, not confessing to the crime.
Kirsten, why would you even tell them that ass nigga that?
Lobato and her attorneys have maintained since her first trial.
She wasn't even in Las Vegas at the time that Durand Bailey was killed.
But proving that point was not a quick process.
Prosecutors, however, believed otherwise. They speculated that Lobato had killed Bailey during a dispute over sex and drugs, citing her known history of methamphetamine use. Despite their theory, Lobato's defense team maintained she was innocent. She stood firm, refusing a plea deal that would have reduced.
So basically, what the state's argument was, because she was an addict, of course she killed him. How did you get there?
Her sentence to 3 years in prison for manslaughter.
And James LaRochelle knew she could not have committed the crime and fabricated evidence against her. On top of the $34 million award, Lobato won $10,000.
Kirsten's trial began in May 2002. Despite her insistence on innocence and her alibi, she was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to an extremely harsh 40 to 100 years in prison. This conviction would ignite years of legal battles as Kirsten continued to assert her innocence and fight the system that she believed had wrongfully condemned her.
Through from the age of 18, barely an adult and all of 100 pounds, when police arrested her for the murder of this homeless man, Durand Bailey. They said she beat him and stabbed him to death.
In 2006, a retrial offered
I'm 100 pounds.
a glimmer of hope for Kirsten. This time, the jury convicted her of voluntary manslaughter instead of first-degree murder, and she was sentenced to 13 to 45 years. While it was a reduced sentence, Lobato's case still remained deeply troubling, especially as new evidence began to emerge that suggested her innocence.
And in October, a state court issued Lobato this certificate of innocence, which was the subject of this letter from the sheriff Kevin McMahill and District Attorney Steve Wolfson, asking for an investigation.
Determined to clear her name, Kirsten filed a writ of habeas corpus in 2010. This petition presented 79 grounds for a new trial, including claims of actual innocence. One of the most compelling aspects of her petition was the evidence showing she had been in Panica, Nevada when Bailey was killed, proof that she could not have committed the murder. Despite this new evidence, a judge denied Kirsten's petition in 2011, ruling that it didn't warrant a new trial. This was
How the hell does innocence not warrant a new trial? Are you dumb? Are you dumb?
a devastating blow for Kirsten, but she refused.
A devastating blow? Nigga, that judge needs to be disbarred. What?
To give up. She appealed the decision to the Nevada Supreme Court, but her appeal was also dismissed in 2012.
Against an unrelated rape attempt over a month prior to Bailey's murder. However, new evidence presented by the New York Innocence Project in 2017 granted Lobato's January 2018 release.
In addition to fighting for a new trial, Kirsten's legal team filed a petition for DNA testing of the crime scene evidence. The Innocence Project agreed to cover the cost of testing, believing it could prove her innocence. But the Clark County District Attorney's Office opposed the request, and a judge once again rejected the petition.
Yeah, all those judges need to be fired. But I know what it is. They don't want to admit they were wrong. So there's that. But you're still going to have to give that money up.
An admission. After hearing the verdict, Lobato issued a statement saying, quote, "I'm so grateful to my attorneys Lovey and Lovey for taking my case when no one else would help me and for working so hard on it."
Despite these setbacks, public support for Kirsten continued to grow. An online petition calling for the DNA testing gained traction, and more people began to question the fairness of her conviction. Finally, in 2017, Kirsten received some unexpected but much needed good news. A judge ordered her release from prison. After years of legal battles, Kirsten was finally free.
I have to start over. You know, my life is beginning again, so I have to get everything.
A Nevada woman convicted for a 2001 murder and sexual mutilation of...
However, her freedom was delayed by a brief period when it was revealed that she had been convicted of conspiracy to commit sexual contact with a prisoner. She was temporarily transferred to the Clark County Detention Center.
That's not even... I'd have been like, alright, cool. Nigga, I'm dismissing that. Probably ain't had no sexual interactions in how long? Sure.
To serve an additional year. But in January 2018, a judge ruled that Kirsten had served enough time, and she was released once again.
This morning, a court spokesperson said a judge ordered Kristen Lovato to be released. There you see her. She was 18 when she was first arrested, but she has always maintained her innocence.
Kirsten Lovato's reaction upon her release was one of mixed emotions, as she tried to process the years of her life lost in prison. After being wrongfully convicted and spending over a decade incarcerated, Kirsten expressed feelings of disbelief and relief. In her first interviews after being released, she spoke about the emotional toll of her wrongful conviction and the determination it took to keep fighting for her freedom.
I have to start over. You know, my life is beginning again, so I have to get everything.
A Nevada woman convicted for a 2001 murder and sexual mutilation of...
But Kirsten's fight wasn't over. In 2024, a civil trial jury ruled that the Las Vegas police and 2 detectives involved in her case had fabricated evidence and intentionally inflicted emotional distress on her. The jury awarded Kirsten $34 million in compensatory damages from the Las...
I don't know who edited this, but like, you just showed that like 5 times to me. We get it, bro. You can just go to the next story. Respectfully.
Las Vegas Police Department, and $10,000 in punitive damages from each of the retired detectives involved. Prepare yourself for the chilling case of Kiana Burns, a story of unexpected tragedy that rocked her family and left a trail of unanswered questions.
Company and drove 18-wheelers. He previously worked at Frito-Lay. And 36-year-old Catherine Price worked at Robins Air Force Base for the 116th Air Control Wing.
Kiana Burns was a woman who everyone thought had it all. She appeared to be a loving wife, mother, and influencer. However, what was going on behind closed doors would shock the residents of Sandy Springs. For 26, 2021, the peaceful suburban town of Sandy Springs, Georgia, was shaken to its core when 2 gunshots echoed through a quiet neighborhood. When police arrived at the Burns residence, they discovered a shocking crime scene. Kiana Burns, a popular influencer, shot her husband Ronell before turning the gun on herself. Before the tragic incident, there were signs that trouble was
I ain't gonna lie, whoever edited this video is trolling me right now.
brewing in the Burns marriage. Just 2 weeks before the shooting, Kiana shocked her followers by taking to Facebook Live to address significant changes in her life. With over 16,000 followers on Instagram and nearly 5,000 Facebook friends, Kiana's fans wondered what was going on in her marriage.
Inspirational quotes and preaches motivation to her followers.
Kiana revealed that she and her husband, along with 5 of their 8 children, had relocated to the Atlanta area to expand their businesses. She explained that she and her husband were co-owners of For His Glory Ministries, Critique Designs Beauty and Barber Salon, and Primerica Insurance.
So Primerica's a scam, yo. Oh, that's funny. Also, he's a minister, so they're definitely scammers.
In the Facebook Live video, Kiana shed light on her emotional state, expressing her need for emotional support.
10-year-old Caleb Miles says his mom woke him up Tuesday morning saying she had to rush to his uncle's house, so he went along.
So I got there, I seen all the police and stuff, and I'm just like, what?
Only hours before the tragedy occurred, Kiana posted a video of herself singing and dancing with her child. Luckily, at the time of the shooting, the child was safely in the care of their grandparents. When the news of Kiana and Ronell's deaths spread throughout the Atlanta area, their friends and family were shell-shocked. Those around them celebrated their selflessness, love, and care for one another. One close friend expressed disbelief on Facebook, stating that the couple's wealth had not altered their down-to-earth and humble nature.
It's Air Force Base for the 116th Air Control Wing. Family members say the couple has been married for 11 years. They have 3 children and were members of Fellowship Bible Baptist Church.
8 years before the tragic events unfolded, Ronell Burns appeared on the popular television show Divorce Court. Back then, he was in the middle of a contentious divorce from his first wife. During the episode, Ronell accused his ex-wife of cheating, alleging that she had engaged in illicit affairs while he was away on business trips. However, the ex-wife refuted these claims, alleging that Ronell was the unfaithful one. Step into the heartbreaking and harrowing case.
Now what the hell did that divorce court episode have to do with anything that happened? Also, the divorce court, all the situations are fake, they're scripted. Niggas get paid to get on the show, gang.
Of Cynthia Varela, a mother whose actions shook an entire community. What drove her to commit the unthinkable?
Police say it was one of the worst child abuse cases they've ever seen. According to investigators, Varela Casaus abused her son Omari and beat him to death 3 years ago.
In 2013, a 9-year-old boy named Omari Varela Casaus lost his young life at the hands of his own mother. Omari's younger sister, who was only 5 years old at the time, witnessed the tragic events and tried to intervene, urging their mother to stop kicking and hitting him. Unfortunately, her pleas were ignored. According to Omari's loved ones, he had been subjected to relentless mistreatment at the hands of his biological mother, Cynthia, over his short life. The autopsy conducted on Omari's body revealed he had sustained severe internal bleeding from blunt force trauma. This
he still got his baby teeth. Anyway.
Devastating discovery shattered any hopes that Omari had fallen from a toy horse, as Cynthia initially claimed.
Casaus answered our questions while being taken to jail.
It was an accident. I was disciplining him.
If I could just go through the screen and rock a nigga.
I kicked him the wrong way. It was an accident.
When detectives questioned Cynthia about her son's death, she initially denied any involvement. However, as the evidence against her mounted, her claims of innocence began to crumble. The inconsistencies in her statements and the overwhelming physical evidence ultimately led the police to charge Cynthia with murder in relation to Omari's death.
It was recommended Varela Casaus remain jailed on $100,000 cash-only bond.
The state's concurring. We believe $100,000 cash only.
In an attempt to evade justice, Cynthia tried to claim she was incompetent to stand trial. However, the judge ruled otherwise, determining that she was mentally fit to stand trial. Cynthia's husband, Omari's stepfather, was found guilty of tampering with evidence and acting with reckless disregard for human life. He was sentenced to life in prison.
Is fit to stand trial after allegedly killing her 9-year-old son Omari. This comes just months after her husband, Stephen Casaus, was put behind bars.
Astonishingly, the judge decided to give him a reduced sentence of 14.5 years.
But the judge is pissing me off right now. What are you talking about? Like you sat back and watched this.
As he has already served 9 years in prison. This reduction means that the stepfather will be released in just 5 more years. In May of 2016, Cynthia pleaded guilty to 6 counts, including second-degree murder. She was sentenced to 40 years in prison in a stunning plea deal.
Cynthia Varela Casaus, CR 2014-00203.
During her sentencing, Cynthia spoke of her love for Omari, breaking down in tears as she addressed the judge. Despite her crimes, she expressed her remorse and begged for forgiveness. However, her sister Sylvia, who had adopted Cynthia's
remorse, my guy, at any time you could have just stopped. At any time you could have just stopped. No. See, I don't like that. Like, you want tears and sympathy now, nigga. At any time you could have stopped, but you said, "Of that, this kid's life ain't worth it." Oh wait, my own child's life is not worth it. So yeah, get the fuck out of here.
His surviving children had a different story to tell.
I will never understand why all this happened, Your Honor. My sister will have to live with that, what she did to her child Omari.
Sylvia addressed the court, expressing her forgiveness towards her sister. However, she made it clear that she wanted to see Cynthia face a long sentence. She shed light on the tender age of Omari at the time of his death, emphasizing that he had dreams and goals that he would never get to fulfill. Cynthia's other children, who saw the assault on Omari, asked Sylvia, "Auntie, can't Omari be fixed? Can't God or the doctor fix him?" In a powerful and emotional letter, Cynthia's daughter wrote to the judge, expressing her desire for her mother to remain behind bars. The letter, which was read aloud during the sentencing hearing, left the courtroom in tears. Cynthia's daughter, now 7 years old, bravely expressed her deepest fears and the nightmares that still haunt her. Her words echoed the sentiments of countless victims of domestic violence, urging the judge to keep her mother away to protect her safety and well-being. Cynthia Varela's shocking crime was a moment of unthinkable violence, but the next case is equally disturbing. Anna Marie Gaetani, a woman whose brutal actions towards an innocent victim reveal a chilling disregard for life.
January, 40-year-old Anna Marie Gaetani pled guilty to the December 2013 murder of her husband, Tony. He was stabbed to death in the couple's North Bexar County home.
On the night of December 5, 2013 at 9:30 p.m., a Bexar County Sheriff's deputy responded to a domestic violence call at the Gaetani residence. The deputy arrived to witness a heated altercation between 29-year-old Tony and 38-year-old Anna Marie. Tony, who had expressed a desire to leave, found himself in a confrontation with his wife, who refused to let him leave the house.
To stab her husband, 29-year-old Tony Gaetani, to death. According to the police report, he was stabbed 17 times, 3 times as emergency responders arrived at the couple's Northwest Bexar County home.
According to deputy statements, Anna Marie grabbed a knife and stabbed Tony multiple times in the upper body. The deputy intervened and tried to subdue Anna Marie, but it was already too late. Tony succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced dead at University Hospital.
Well, this is going to be a quick-ass trial. We see you do it. Literally.
She's since changed her mind about that plea.
I am not guilty of what they're saying that I did in cold blood.
You're not what? What? This gotta be the Matrix. There's no way this is reality. What are you talking about? You didn't what? You didn't what? You didn't what? We pulled up till you poking him. What?
In the aftermath of the tragic incident, Anna Marie was arrested and charged with her husband's murder. Her bond was set at $250,000. 3 years later, in February 2016, District Judge Steve Hilbig sentenced Anna Marie to 25 years in prison as part of a plea deal.
I am guilty of defending my life and my children's.
She claims she had ineffective counsel, that her lawyers only wanted to talk about a plea bargain.
During Anna Marie's sentencing hearing, Alfred Gaetani, Tony's father, delivered a powerful and emotional statement to the court, addressing his daughter's killer directly. He declared, "I do not forgive you for murdering Tony, my son. I curse you for what you have done. I wish you nothing but terrible things in this life, and that when you die, you burn in hell."
We didn't talk about trial, we didn't talk about strategy, we didn't talk about anything like that.
And that her lawyer, David Christian, rushed her into agreeing to the plea bargain that called for a 25-year prison term.
Tony's
Ma'am, you should be serving life. You said not guilty, and they see you in live action poking that man. And police tried to intervene.
mother, Jamal Gaetani, also had the opportunity to address Anna Marie. With tears streaming down her face, she expressed her anger and desire for justice. She stated, "I pray that you rot in your prison cell."
And that called for a 25-year prison term.
Christian took exception to Gaetani's testimony. He said they went over the plea agreement several times.
Under the laws, Anna Marie is obligated to serve half of her sentence before becoming eligible for parole. However, despite pleading guilty, she sought a new trial 2 months after sentencing. Anna Marie said she had ineffective counsel when she accepted the plea deal.
He testified that she was not rushed into signing. He said that he advised her that given the facts of the case, a plea bargain was in her best interest.
Other than being under immense amount of pressure.
In her request for a new trial, Anna Marie argued that her legal counsel failed to provide adequate representation and advice. She believed that if she had been properly guided, she would have made a different decision regarding the plea deal.
What about the decision to take your husband out the game? You could revise that out.
However, her attorneys, David Christian and Pat Hancock, insisted that they had thoroughly reviewed the case with Anna Marie and concluded that taking a plea deal was in her best interests.
She was not coerced, threatened, led the wrong way.
Judge Steve Hilbig denied Gaetani's motion for a new trial. Her lawyer tells me he'll appeal.
Despite the efforts of her legal team, Judge Hilbig denied Anna Marie's plea for a retrial. The judge deemed the evidence presented insufficient to overturn the initial verdict. Anna Marie's newest attorney spoke to the media, stating that he plans to appeal the recent ruling. This new attorney, who has joined the case amidst much speculation, believes there are valid grounds for an appeal. Next, we turn to the haunting case of Letitia Stotch. What began as a tragic disappearance soon unraveled into a web of lies and deception.
Without hesitation, that the facts in this case are the most horrific I have ever seen. Your conduct in this case deserves the maximum punishment that I can impose under Colorado law.
On January 27, 2020, Letitia Stotch called the El Paso County Sheriff's Office to report her stepson's disappearance. 11-year-old Gannon Stotch had been missing for a few hours when Letitia called and said she was worried. When officers arrived, she told them that Gannon had left the house to walk to see a friend, and when he didn't return, she called the police based on the information that the press could get their hands on. Gannon was initially described as a juvenile runaway. However, after 3 days, the sheriff's office made it clear that he was a missing or endangered person. Because of this, a massive search party was organized and people started sending in as many tips as possible. Letitia Stotch got married to Gannon's father, Albert Stotch, in 2015, and promptly became Gannon's and his sister's stepmother. When Gannon went missing, she also provided as much information as possible to help find him. The search involved thousands of hours of investigation and had many federal agencies looking for Gannon as well. And the Colorado Police Department created a joint team to find him. Despite this, he was still nowhere to be seen. His parents hoped and prayed that their son would still be alive. Their hopes would be shattered on March 17, 2020. A maintenance worker in Pace, Florida found a strange-looking suitcase under the Escambia Bay Bridge. Inside the suitcase were the remains of Gannon Stotch. Authorities were alerted to the case and an autopsy was conducted. It was revealed later on that the cause of death was blunt force trauma, sharp force injuries, and a gunshot wound. The first suspect...
Damn. He was 9. Like, it gets to a point that's OD. Like, whoever did that, 150. You need 150.
was Letitia because she was the only one who saw Gannon alive the day he went missing.
Gannon suffered 18 stab wounds to his body. His chest,
He's 9.
his back, his head, and most importantly, his arms and his hands.
11.
She claimed that Gannon had been sick and had to stay home from school, so she took him on her errands. This didn't align with the story that she told the police initially. With all of that, Letitia was arrested and charged with first-degree...
He was sick. Shorty, you're sick. When? Damn. Like, after you poke him 18 times, what's the point of hitting him in the head and also shooting him? What is the point of that? I don't... What?
Murder of a child by a person in a position of trust, child abuse resulting in death, tampering with a deceased human body, and tampering with human evidence. During the investigation, horrific details about Gannon's murder came to light. Letitia killed Gannon in his bedroom. She stabbed him 18 times, hit him hard in the head, and shot him with a handgun to make sure he was dead. Afterward, she shoved him in a suitcase and drove Gannon's body more than 1,300 miles away from home before dumping him.
Without hesitation, that the facts in this case are the most horrific I have ever seen.
She soon pleaded not guilty because of insanity, a claim that no one bought. She said that she had dissociative identity disorder because she had experienced sexual harm as a child. Despite this, she was judged fit to stand trial. 5 weeks after her murder trial started, she was found guilty of all charges. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 156 years in prison.
I really got the scope on this. Like, bro, you need 150. 150 years.
Next, we shift to the disturbing case of Joanna Dennehy. What seemed like a series of senseless killings quickly...
Now, this might sound weird, but that knife looks tough. That knife looks tough. She might be a weirdo, but that knife looks tough. I'm sorry.
Revealed a much darker and more calculated mind at work.
Person Joanne Dennehy is today, constantly smiling in front of bereaved families at times when she showed nothing but utter disrespect for everything and everybody in that courtroom today.
In March 2013, 3 men were found with similar stab wounds in Peterborough, England. 2 other men were also stabbed similarly, but they survived. The perpetrator, 30-year-old...
Disregard everything I said about that knife. I was tripping. She clearly used it.
Joanna Dennehy. Joanna Dennehy was an absent mother to 2 children, and she would often run away from home for long periods and buried herself in drugs and drinks. She was bored and was looking for a thrill. Joanna was obsessed with Bonnie and Clyde and wanted to be like them. So she decided to kill people for the fun of it and began the horrific adventure in March 2013. On the 30th of March 2013, a man named Kevin Lee was found in a ditch near Newborough. His body was clothed in a black sequin dress. He had been stabbed multiple times. Lee was reported missing.
She cross-dressed him. There's nothing sacred. Like, you can't just, you already took his life. You can't just let him be naked or in the clothes he was already in down.
Day before he was found in the ditch by his wife, and his car was also burned that day. Lee was a landlord and Joanna was his tenant. She was often seen with a convicted criminal named Gary Stretch. It was soon revealed that Joanna and Lee were lovers. On Lee's phone, Dennehy's name and details were Joanna was his tenant.
Wait, what?
Multiple times. Lee was reported missing a day before he was found in the ditch.
Keep it in your pants, man. Keep it in your pants.
By his wife, and his car was also burned that day. Lee was a landlord and Joanna was his tenant. She was often seen with a convicted criminal named Gary Stretch. It was soon revealed.
And why am I sneak dicking a shorty who not raising her kids?
That Joanna and Lee were lovers. On Lee's phone, Dennehy's name and details were seen multiple times, particularly when Lee went missing. Police discovered that Dennehy and Stretch had been close to where Lee's body was found. They became suspects in the case. Joanna was described as a woman who loved knives and had been diagnosed with psychopathic, antisocial, and borderline personality disorders. On March 30th, Joanna and Gary Stretch drove to hear.
No offense to people who actually have to deal with that. Can't live a normal life. I'm just saying, the way she's moving, she had kids. They're cooked. They're cooked.
Where Joanna stabbed two men separately and at random. She stole the second man's dog and left the scene. Both men survived more than 20 stabs. One of the men recounted the incident.
I was walking the dog towards a cycle path initially when you get on it, and I suddenly felt what I thought was a really heavy punch in the small of my back.
The police, who had been looking for Joanna and Stretch, soon found them in Hereford. They were both arrested. Another man in the truck was later determined to have been there unwillingly, so he was let go. After Joanna was arrested, the officers asked initial questions to begin her processing. Joanna showed no signs that she had just brutally attacked two men, and was even batting her eyes at the officer. She also laughed and made a joke to the officers.
Would you be cheering if you got threatened to murder and murder? No, but I'm just smiling.
Would you be cheery if you were up for attempted schmurder and schmurder? If I'm crazy, yes.
If you got threatened to murder and murder? No, but I'm just smiling.
On the 3rd of April 2013, after Joanna was arrested, Lucas Slabazewski and John Chapman's bodies were found in another ditch near Thorney. They had been murdered by Joanna on the 29th of March. Joanna was thrilled with the killings, and people who knew her said she liked to be in control. According to her sister, Joanna liked to show the people that she was the boss in every situation. Joanna Dennehy was charged with 3 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. In the interrogation room, Dennehy said nothing to help the investigation.
Did you murder Lucas Slabazewski? Did you murder Kevin Lee? Did you murder John Chapman?
Despite this, Joanna pleaded guilty to all charges. While awaiting trial.
Thank you, Joanna. Like, bro, stop wasting people's time with this bullshit. Y'all know y'all did it, bro. Y'all know y'all did it. We not. Thank you. You're still a horrible person, but thank you. Just hold on to the shit.
A diary that she kept in prison revealed that she was planning to murder a female guard and cut off one of her fingers so she could escape prison. She was placed in solitary confinement and claimed that her human rights had been violated. Her claim was rejected, and in February 2014, Joanna Dennehy was sentenced to life in prison with the order that she should never be released.
Joanne Dennehy is today constantly smiling in front of bereaved families at times when she showed nothing but utter disrespect for everything and everybody in that courtroom today.
The people who were present in court said that Joanna was smiling constantly. When she received her sentence, she simply smiled and showed disrespect for the victims' families. She was also reported telling the court, "I'm sorry for the attempted murders, but I'm not sorry for the murders." Where Joanna killed multiple people for the fun of it, the same cannot be said for Anjette Lyles, who murdered her relatives.
Anjette remained cool and unemotional throughout the trial. According to the newspaper account, Mrs. Lyles took the death sentence calmly, her head held high.
Anjette Lyles was a successful restaurant owner in Macon, Georgia in the 1950s. Everyone wanted to have a taste
I think it was 30 years old.
of Lyles cooking. The restaurant was described as a place of ambience and somewhere people loved to go. Anjette Lyles was born Anjette Donovan on August 23, 1925. In school, she was a poor student, so she soon turned her sights to something she loved doing, cooking. In 1947, she got married to Ben F. Lyles Jr. He owned the Lyle restaurant in Macon with his family. Anjette and Ben soon welcomed their first daughter, Marcia, in 1948. In 1951, they had another daughter named Carla. Anjette started working in the restaurant with her husband and mother-in-law. Anjette was excellent in customer service, and this took the Lyles restaurant to new levels. Things would not remain happy for long. In 1951, Ben developed a throat infection which soon turned into rheumatic fever.
You don't know what I thought he said. A throat infection. I don't know what I thought he said.
He soon stopped working at the restaurant and started drinking and gambling to distract himself from the pain. This landed him in debt, and he tried to sell the restaurant. This made Anjette angry, and this strained their relationship. In December 1951, Ben became sick again, but this time, doctors could not determine the cause. Ben remained in pain until he passed away on January 25, 1952. After her husband died, Anjette and her children moved back to her parents' home. She started working in a diner and saved up her money so she could buy Lyle's restaurant back. In 1955, she did this and hired her mother-in-law to work with her. She also met and married Joe Gabbard. However, this marriage didn't last long, and on December 2, 1955, Gabbard passed away. Anjette
Shorty, a black widow. Man, look. It's crazy. I guess we're just using that term. Like, yeah, like, bro, she literally, y'all just killing y'all spouses. Like, this is crazy, man.
refused an autopsy. Anjette was the sole beneficiary of Gabbard's massive insurance policy. She used the money to buy a new car and a home before changing her name back to Lyles. Ben's mother also moved in with Anjette at her request. However, in 1957, she also became sick and had to be hospitalized. Ben's mother died, and a will showed that half of her estate had been left.
This bitch is 3 for 3 right now. What the hell is that? Police! Help! The fuck? Someone stop this bitch.
To Anjette and her children. After this, Anjette's behavior began to change towards her first daughter, 9-year-old Marcia. She would insult her and threaten her multiple times. Marcia began coughing up blood in 1958 and was hospitalized. She soon passed away on April 5, 1958. Even though her daughter died, Anjette showed no emotions. After her funeral, the coroner's office received a letter that claimed that Marcia may have been poisoned. Marcia was tested for poison, and when Anjette was informed, she blamed her second daughter.
Yep, this is definitely the last one for this video. What is she saying? So, not only did you get rid of your first husband, your second husband's mom, or your mom? I really wasn't listening because I was lost in the, you took your daughter out the game. And now you're blaming it on your second daughter. You just want to be alone, man. You could have just been alone, man.
Carla. Police did not buy this, so they started investigating. After they exhumed the bodies of Anjette's late husbands, her mother-in-law, and her daughter, they found traces of arsenic in their bodies. Anjette was arrested, and a search of her house revealed that she had been keeping arsenic inside bottles of ant infestation chemicals.
Anjette was actually tried only for the murder of her 9-year-old daughter, Marcia, but she...
Brother, what are you talking about? She took 4 people out the game. I'm plumb tired of this bullshit. Man, what the how did we get here?
Was also accused of killing 2 husbands and her mother-in-law, Mrs. Julia Lyles, by administering them doses of taro ant poison.
She was charged with the murders of her relatives and found guilty. Anjette's trial lasted a week. She was accused of killing her relatives for financial gain. She was only convicted of the murder of her daughter.
Anjette remained cool and unemotional throughout the trial. According to the newspaper account, Mrs. Lyles took the death sentence calmly, her head held high.
And Jett received the death penalty by electric chair, even though she became the first woman in Georgia to be sent to death row. And Jett was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and was transferred to the Central State Hospital until she died on December 4th, 1977. And Jett Lyles' sinister acts of deception and murder were deeply unsettling. But the next case uncovers a modern tragedy.
Man, the next case, man, yeah, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. That's the end of the video. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share the video, share your thoughts on the video in the comment section below. Tell me, what was the craziest sentencing so far? I think the craziest case is the last one. Your whole fam game? And then you want to blame your youngest daughter? Some people just need to be alone. Like, you don't need human interaction or none of that. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Stay safe, y'all.
I can taste the power. Put you on this power. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it. You don't I can see the future. I can taste this power. Put you on this power. Put you on this power. Acting like you know me. You don't know nothing. All my hoes is Yoshi's. Smoking, dodging police, feeling kinda groovy. I might spit a movie. You don't believe me. I can see the future, acting like you know me. I can see the future. Quickest way for me to get away. I need some access to some motion.